Coach Jagoda recently retired as the head baseball coach at Dunkirk High School. During his 30 years as the leader of the Marauders, Frank built a highly successful baseball program that won over 400 games, multiple league, sectional, and regional championships. Scott Kindberg has been covering sports for the Post-Journal for 42 years. Hard to believe. The last 11 as the sports editor. Scott is also the sports editor of the Dunkirk Observer and the Warren Time Observer. Scott has been recognized and honored locally and statewide for excellence in journalism. No surprise. So let me have Frank and Scott come up and have a little interview with Coach Jagoda.
Frank, this is an honor for me. It's not near a dugout, and rare times it would be after a loss. I would keep my distance after an L, but that didn't happen very often with you. Let's play a little numbers game to start. 24-7, 1.01, 268, and 9. What are those? What significance do those numbers hold for you?
Well, those have something to do with me in high school. So you've done quite a lot of research. And that was quite a long time ago.
Tell me a little bit about your early years, as a player.
Well, first off, I played for Coach Al Stumiller, who's also a Hall of Fame member, who had over 360 wins at Dunkirk High School. He won 10 sectional championships and 10 league championships, I believe. And I learned a lot from Coach Stumiller and his dedication and desire and intestinal fortitude to win. And then came Coach Bill Walters, who actually took me under his wing when I was a young kid. And I only played for him for a year on the JVs until they moved me up to the varsity as a sophomore. So those two guys were integral parts of my playing days through high school. And then we played, we had great all-star teams when we played in Dunkirk Little League. And back then they had 16 teams in Little League. 8 in the American League, 8 in the National League. And the all-star teams were set up that way too. So you had to play your own local teams to get to somewhere. So our 12-year-old team actually went to the Final Four of the states. But then when they combined us as 13-year-olds in Babe Ruth, we actually made it to the state championship, lost in the finals. So
what Frank didn't say, and I'll fill in the blanks here, the 24 and these are all career numbers. 24-7, his ERA was 1.01. He had 268 strikeouts and 9 shutouts during his career with the Marauders, making him one of our county's all-time greatest high school players. Now, I know you also excelled in other sports at Dunkirk High School and baseball. Why was that the sport for you? Tell me a little bit about that and why that became such a passion.
Well, actually, basketball was my favorite sport, and I loved it. We played numerous in our neighborhood. We played all day and all night basketball. But baseball just became something. I remember trying out for Little League, and at that time, you had kids who were bat boys and who got cut. There were actually so many kids they got cut. And I remember trying out as a 9-year-old, and I turned my head or something. I hit in the side of the face, and I went home. I told my parents, I don't think I'm going to make a team. And the funny, we're a very close-knit neighborhood, so I can tell you this quickly. I had a parent across the street that was a manager. I had another parent, kitty corner, who was another manager, and we all hung out as kids. So our team, Kiwanis, had the last pick in the draft. Well, these other teams could have picked me, but they didn't. So my own neighbors didn't pick me. So I don't know. I don't know if it was because of how I was as a kid in their house or what it was, but there were actually 4 other managers, and then Mr. Balzer, a block away, decided to take me with the 16th pick. So it all turned out well.
I want to do a little word association. Give you a couple words, and then I want you to tell us what immediately comes to mind. The Corner Gang.
Well, the Corner Gang is a neighborhood that is close and near and dear to my heart. We have so many guys that grew up and who have been successful in life. But these guys were the best guys in Crino's Music Store. If you ever drive by Crino's Music Store at Central Avenue, that's where we hung out. And we'd sing Street Corner Serenade, and the boys are back in town, and we'd pitch nickels, and we'd do everything that all kids did when they were younger. And we had a great neighborhood, and we always said, we always said it was one of the greatest neighborhoods we ever had. Now, when we got into some mischief, right, my mother was only 200 yards away and would whistle. And then when she whistled, we would all run because we knew what that meant. So it was a great neighborhood to grow up in. And the thing about it is, our neighborhood would play other neighborhoods. And I don't think you see that anymore at all, where we would take our neighborhood, the Corner Gang, and go down and play the Pucciarelli gang down at the park, or we'd go play the Rayner gang down on Swan Street, and everybody had their own equipment, and everybody had a field to play on, and everybody practiced in their own way, and then we'd ride our bikes down and we'd play a game. And it was, so you had 3 different neighborhoods playing against each other, and that was just outstanding.
You mentioned him earlier, but Al Stu Miller.
Coach Stu Miller was a rock of everybody in Dunkirk High School. He is the Marauder. He is Dunkirk baseball. There's no question about it. We've all learned from him. Everybody who ever came through there always has a great story about Coach Stu Miller. So, he just was a great man to me, a great mentor, similar to my dad, and he's just Dunkirk athletics through and through.
June 14th, 1978. You would have been a junior at Dunkirk High School, and this story resonates with me. I think we've even rerun it a couple times in our papers because it may have been one of the most epic sectional playoff games ever played.
Well, that was the 16-inning game, and we were playing Williamsville North up in Hyde Park, and we always had something to prove down in the Chautauqua County schools when we had to go play the Buffalo schools. And I always took pride in that, especially when I went to UB later on. I always spoke about how much better the competition was down in Chautauqua County, but of course the Buffalo boys never believed that. But the 16-inning game started off where their leadoff hitter had a triple, the next guy got a single, and so they scored their first run, which was the first run I had ever given up and the only run I ever gave up in 6 playoff games. So I didn't actually pitch 16 innings, I pitched 15 and 2/3.
Well, and the PS to that, accompanying a very awesome article, it was done by Bill Hammond, the former sports editor at the Dunkirk paper. Accompanying that was a photograph of Frank walking off the mound in the 16th inning with the scoreboard in the background with all the zeros. And the final was 2-1, right?
4-1. Oh, 4-1, yep. I actually scored the winning run. I got on first, and then there was a pass ball or something, and then Robbie Gilray got a single, and I scored 2-1, and then we scored 2 more.
So that I asked Frank if he had a large print of that hanging in his home. He said he had it laminated. I don't think the image would turn out too well if it was poster size, but it's a great photo anyways because it told the story for sure.
But I will tell you this. And it goes to Coach Gershon. I'm disappointed him and Dave aren't here tonight because last year, you interviewed Dave, and Coach Gershon always brings this up. Fredonia was waiting to play the next game, but it got to be like 10:30. So Fredonia was waiting for us to play, and then Coach Stu Miller and Krishon played for Stu Miller. Coach Krishon played for Stu Miller. They were playing. We were ready to play in a super sectional game, and then they postponed it to 2 days later on a Saturday at Fredonia State. And there were 1,500 people there, and it was lined up, you know. And of course, I had a chance again to be a hero, but I had bases loaded. Coach Krishon tells you this story every time I see it. I had the bases loaded, no outs, or no, 2 outs, and I'm batting with the bases loaded. And it was a 3-0 count, and the first pitch was a high strike. It was a ball. All I had to do was wait. It was a ball. I know it was a ball, but he called a strike. The next pitch was about yay high over my head, and I swung and missed. And the next pitch, yay high, and I swung and missed, and I struck out. So I could have been a hero 2 days in a row. Instead, that's the way baseball is, though, right? And Coach Krishon tells this story.
I'll ask him about it the next time I see him.
Dougie DeJoe was the other pitcher, right? And Dougie, who went to Fredonia State, and had a great career at Fredonia State, we were actually at Dougie's dad's funeral, and in comes Coach Krishon. And at the funeral, he gathered everyone around and continued to tell this story. So that's good for him.
What in the Cliff Notes version? What did 400 wins mean to you, Frank?
Well, from a personal standpoint, it meant that I had been coaching a long time for one. Right? I mean, that's in and of itself, you know. But you know, as you get along, you look at numbers, and after I broke Coach Stu Miller's record, I said, well, it's not too far away, and we have some good kids. We always, we're always working on kids and what they're doing, and it's a great honor. I mean, you have other guys in this county, Doug Kaltenbeck, for example, over 500 wins, Mike Janish, and of course Coach Mazzaros. You know, they have over 500 wins, but I don't think I could do this for another 10 or 11 years to get that far. So I'm pretty satisfied with what happened. We had a great year this year, and getting with the kids I had this year, with the outstanding kids I had, the players and the kids that are coming up, we were very happy with our season. I can't thank our assistant coaches enough. I had a great assistant coaching staff this year, and they did a tremendous job for me.
One of the assistants to you for probably close to 20 years, Eric Gloss. Can you just give him a little shout out?
Well, we give Eric a shout out. Eric he was my right-hand man for close to 20 years, and of course, everybody knew Eric. He actually threw a first pitch out over here in the stadium before I have now, so he's got one over on me. But Eric meant a lot to the program. He bled Marauder Maroon. He was always with the kids. He always enjoyed, being a go-getter, and he would go anywhere to support Dunkirk High School.
After your milestone wins, most recently your sectional title and then your 400th win, you pull out baseballs and you ask those who are either current players, former players, or supporters of the program to sign them. Where do you have those displayed, and tell me the significance of why you make that a habit and special victories or milestones?
Well, eventually they're going to go in the school, so when the guys walk into the school and they go into the trophy case, they'll be able to see their name in the trophy case. So until I accomplish, as many as I get, I have a 3-6 and a 1 ball, and then I have another 361 ball with names on it. So when a player comes into Dunkirk High School and they go into the trophy case, they'll be able to see their name. I think that's the most significant part of why I have them sign it. And the other thing is, when people come over, I have a nice little display in my basement. People enjoy coming in and taking a look too. So.
Well, Frank, it's been a real pleasure to cover your games all these years and witness some of these significant milestones, and it's an honor to be Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame inductee with you, class of 23. Thanks, man.
I greatly appreciate this. I really greatly appreciate this, but man, I look out here in this crowd tonight, and as Dan Palmer once said in his New York State Broadcasters Hall of Fame speech, what am I doing here? I mean, there are so many people here that have done so many different significant things in kids' lives that it goes beyond saying, and it's really an honor to be a part of an organization that has done so much for kids, and I greatly appreciate it. And tonight is also a first responders night, police and first responders night, and when they're honoring the first responders and everything like that, I can't hold a candle to what those folks have done, and I'm very humbled this evening. Thank you.